and welcome to episode 2 of Let's Talk Cricket podcast. I'm your host Devang Naik.
And I'm Anson Dias. Before starting off, I would like to thank our listeners for tuning in and for the positive feedback we received on our first episode. A shout out to all those who shared our podcast on their stories. We hope for the same support in our future episodes as well. So today on our panel we have Tresna Menezes, Raj Ramani, Weldon Dias, Rahil Malgaonkar, Vedan Norona, Kirsten D'Souza, and our guest speaker for today, Shantanu Korgaonkar. Welcome, guys.
Yeah, it's truly been a dramatic and a soul-stirring week, I would say. We've seen too much in a week, and we shall be reviewing these issues in this episode. So let me start off with the failure of mid-season transfer. Since 2018, BCCI has introduced the mid-season transfer window, but no team has used it till date. So what do you think? Do you think is it necessary? Because I've noticed the team which needed it the most was CSK because they needed some Indian batsmen to fit in the middle order. So what do you think? Was it necessary this season as well?
Well, when it comes to the mid-season transfer, there's not much to talk about really. Like, take a look at this year. There were 5 days for the transfer, and no team utilized it. And I don't see any point to the transfer because it's not like a huge league taking place for 10 months or something. It's just a 2 month tournament, and teams are basically balanced. They have replacements for their players. So suppose say one player is injured, they have a replacement for him. But suppose they took part in the mid-season transfer, they might have given that player away. So I don't see any point to this mid-season transfer.
Yeah, absolutely. So okay, so now let me talk about the most debated move by the Royal Challengers Bangalore last week. ABD, if who usually bats at number 4 or 5, he came at number 6 versus Punjab. And Raj, we've heard Chris Morris in the press telling us that Washington Sundar and Dubey were sent ahead of AB so that the left-right combination would unsettle the Punjab spinners. So Raj, what's your take on this?
Yeah. So this, as you have already said, it has been a very controversial decision to the public, to the general public, and almost everyone who I have come across in my life, in my personal life, they have said that it was a bad call by RCB to send ABD Villiers, who is arguably their best batsman, uh, at a very low position. He came in the 15th or 16th over, I guess. But according to me, it was not a bad decision. In fact, it was a very good decision by them. It is very unfortunate that it didn't work the way it was planned to work. So, the main aim was not to send AB de Villiers late. It was to protect him from against the spinners, not to protect him as such. What I mean to say is not that he cannot play leg spinners or he cannot hit leg spinners, but if you compare AB de Villiers to two left-handers, that is Sundar and Dubey, then you can say that the wicket of AB de Villiers is more important than Sundar and Dubey. And what AB de Villiers would have done in those overs is take singles and basically rotate the strike, which even Sundar and Dubey can do. They can, and they actually did that. But ABD Villiers, if he tried to hit during those overs, then he could get out. And once he gets out, then there is no one in the lower middle order. Entire pressure would be on Virat Kohli. And if by chance he succumbs to the pressure and his wicket falls, then RCB would have no one in the end. So basically, I feel that was more of a thinking than the left right combo thing. Obviously, left right combo was the thing that they told the public because this the public might not accept because now that it backfired. Maybe if it had worked, they might have revealed it, or maybe not. I cannot say that. And I know it did not work, but still, I would say it was a good ploy by them to, and also to add to that, as I said, even the rotating strike job could be done by Sundar and Dubey in the middle overs. However, the striking in the death overs, which ABD is one of the greatest batsmen in death in IPL and even in international cricket, that Sundar and Dubey wouldn't be able to do as good as AB. So I think that was the plan. Unfortunately, AB de Villiers got out to Mohammad Shami, and the plan backfired. However, Chris Morris scored I think 25 runs in the last over and covered it. But even then, the plan failed because AB de Villiers could not score. But I still stand by it that it was a good ploy, and they should continue doing it next time when they bat first, not when they chase and if they need a high score. But when they bat first and if they are in a similar situation, then they should do it. Only
Yeah,
thing
with
I
the
think
spinners
what
coming in.
Yes, with the spinners coming in, especially when there are two leg spinners as there were in Punjab. Only thing I think which they can change is maybe Sundar and Dubey can strike better or play with a better intent, because if they have ABD Villiers coming later, then they don't need to play slow, rotate, strike, and protect their wicket. They can go free. They
Right.
can just unleash themselves on the spinners. As we know, they both are quite good hitters and can clear the ropes easily. And maybe another thing I could add is maybe since they are not utilizing Udana that much, they are not utilizing his 4 overs. Of course, now since Siraj is not there, they did use him. But if they are not using him for that many overs, maybe Moeen Ali can come in because he hits leg spinners very nicely. So if maybe in that same situation, instead of Sundar or Dubey, there was Moeen Ali, then he could have hit the leg spinners very well. And in the future matches also, they can use him as that middle order's leg spin hitter. So that's all I
Right.
wanted to say. I will still stick and stand by the thing that it was a good decision. However, it backfired.
Hmm.
Well, I kind of agree with Raj, but not entirely. Against Punjab and RCB sent Washington Sundar ahead of AB before the 10th over. That was understandable, but they wanted to keep the left-right combo going, and they just didn't want to expose Virat and AB to a barrage of spin overs at that crucial stage. But when Washington got out after the 11th over, they sent in Dubey ahead of AB. That to me was ridiculous. When you have one of the best batsmen in the world, you simply cannot keep him batting at number 6. Later, Dubey got out in the 17th over without many runs on the board, and just 3 overs were left for AB. And under pressure, he played a shot that got him out for just 2 runs. And so that tactic didn't really work out, and RCB's management had to hear a lot from the fans and the experts. If it did work out, it would have been a different story, but uh, they would have got a lot of praise. But logically, you want your best batsman to face the maximum number of balls. Even though AB is a power hitter, it's always good to bring him in a bit early, let him find his ground, and pick up pace when needed. Like, take yesterday's match, for example. Look what he can do when you give him a few more balls to bat. I think
Exactly.
AB de Villiers showed us again yesterday how unique of a talent he is, and his ability to just totally destroy a bowling attack. To be able to come in the middle or the end overs when the run rate is skyrocketing and still
Yeah.
have the composure, the skill, and the power to be able to take the game from the opposition, that is special.
Yes, indeed, it's very special. So, yeah, good points made by both of you. So let's move on to the next another shocking decision. We've seen that Dinesh Karthik handed his captaincy over to Morgan. Having the best win percentage for KKR as a captain after Gambhir, and the last season was a decent journey for him. Leading the side to the playoffs, and just this bad season, made him give up captaincy. So Kirsten, was he forced to step down as a captain? If yes, didn't the management think about this at the start of the season when Morgan was bought in the auctions? With the hype they created that he won the first World Cup for England.
When the thing is, the management was shocked by DK stepping down. So everyone thinks that he was dropped as a captain, but he actually stepped down. And I agree to it because I feel that DK is more important to us as a batsman than the captain right now. He can't concentrate on his batting, and the team clearly were, as we can see, number 3, number 4, number 5 are lacking over there, and Russell's not firing, he's not firing, and there's a lot of pressure on Morgan and Cummins. So I think him stepping down and passing it, everyone's saying that he's dropped as a captain. It's basically just swapping with Morgan, because Morgan and him are still, both of them I can consider them as captains, because DK speaks a lot to the bowlers,
Correct,
controls the field as well. Still, as you've seen it today, Morgan does that as well. But I'm happy as well, but I'm sad as a DK fan. Sadly, as a change, I like Morgan's style. Morgan's more attacking field. He will just like how Brendan McCullum sets used to play very aggressive.
Yeah.
Morgan is very aggressive with his field placements. DK in the last two games, if you've seen against Chennai, the previous two games, which we just I don't know how we won those, but against Chennai and I think it was Punjab, we just pulled that out because I
Correct.
felt that was a very defensive way of field that DK set, and he overly relied on Narayan. And so
Yeah.
once Narayan was done, Narayan had his share problems. Everything shifted. So
Yeah.
then everyone starts to ask questions: is DK a really good captain? Is he meant for it? Yeah, I feel Morgan is a captain. Everyone keeps having their opinions, but if
Yeah.
you go to see DK before all this started, he won 4 games and lost 3, and sat pretty well on fourth position, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken, fourth position, and I don't find that so bad. That would it's just that there's Morgan alongside him. That's why he's shifted captaincy. But if it was in another franchise, I don't think so. You have any other franchise has that. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't think any other franchise has a luxury of switching captains because they all have that one marquee player in their team to lead them. This is
Yeah.
my
Correct.
opinion on why I feel. But in conclusion, I still feel that DK should be leading the side. No, captain should bear the burden of coming in between the season, and then if it doesn't go well for you, you're again going to get the heat. So I
Yeah.
don't know how Morgan's going to react to it, but I'm really scared for him because he's going to get the same amount of hate if he doesn't fire, just like DK did.
Yeah, correct. So now talking about the overseas attack of KKR, has been really unstable. Some players have been coming in and out, and now Ryan, he has been reported for a suspicious, for his illegal action. So now he's okay. Now he's been cleared. So Rahil, what do you think about the balance that the overseas attack of KKR should provide?
I think since Kuldeep Yadav is into the side, we have the perfect balance, but we have to see that Sunil Narayan has been, consistent all over the years, and he's been a wicket taker for us. So, yeah, today Loki Ferguson has performed very good, but I still think we need someone like Sunil Narayan into the side. But if he's coming into the side, we have to take a major decision of dropping someone like Pat Cummins because Cummins is expected to expected to be a wicket taker, and sadly, it's not been happening. He's been good with the bat. I mean, handy with the bat, but with the ball, I'm sorry, he hasn't been that good. So I think either you get someone, Sunil Narayan into the side because he's the wicket taker, or
Yeah.
you drop Pat Cummins Pat Cummins. So I think a major decision should be taken to KKRs.
Yeah, and about bringing in, Ferguson in tonight's match. I mean, the earlier match. What do you think about the way KKR defended it, kind of, with the super over?
I think the only thing right now they can do, if it's a spinning pitch, they can get Sunil Narayan in place of Lockie Ferguson. Nothing else can be done because you can't drop Andre Russell or you can't drop Morgan. The only two options they can drop is either Cummins or Lockie. So I think other than that, I think side is completely balanced. I don't think they should make more changes into the side.
Yeah, but Lockie Ferguson, we've seen today, has been the pick of the bowlers, and he has actually saved KKR from he's really literally KKR escaped a huge loss today. So Pat Cummins usually didn't click this season, but still you're taking the stand of not wanting
Yeah, because
Lockie Ferguson.
no, the thing is Sunil Narayan. We need him into the side because he's a major wicket taker for us. Because Kuldeep Yadav, you can't rely on him. You either
Correct.
get someone like Sunil Narayan into the side, get him, get wickets and try to win more matches. But I don't think Pat Cummins is you can rely on him. I mean,
You can't
9
rely on Pat
matches.
Cummins, yeah, actually.
Yeah, actually, you can't
We've
rely
seen
on
this
him
season, yeah.
because he's more of a test bowler
Yeah.
and not a T20 pacer. But right now,
Hmm.
he's balanced because he's giving a good hand with the bat also. So that's why I think he's a good option. But overall, I think we need Narayan instead of him.
Yeah, so with RCB, the problem in the top order, we've seen that they have the lowest run rate between overs 7 to 15. So, well, then, why is there a dilly dally in switching gears?
Speaking about RCB and their run rate in the middle overs, as you have seen, RCB has been ticking all the boxes in this season of the IPL. They have been performing one of the best cricket since they have played from a very long time. But one of the issues RCB is facing is the very low run rate in the middle overs. What could be the possible reason? I think the main reason is wickets. They do want to lose wickets so that they can fire up in the back overs. But RCB needs to pick up the run rate a little bit at least. If they are batting first, it's okay for a slow run rate because they have big finishes in the end to get the score above the line. But in a game where they're chasing, a low run rate in the middle overs can be costly. It increases the required run rate to an unattainable point where players may fail to provide. I feel Virat Kohli should, switch gears a little bit earlier. We cannot say what calculations he's doing in his mind before he comes to bat, but the mid overs have been slow for RCB. Maybe Virat's like an important wicket, so the person batting at the non-striker's end, whoever is there, he should take the responsibility of going for the few big shots, taking a little bit more risk, because as we all know, Virat, ABD, these are the big important wickets for anyone and the important players for RCB if they want a big score.
Yeah, so as we all know, we have now reached that part of the season where the question is clear that who are the 4 teams that are going to make it to the playoffs. So now let us analyze each and every team in brief. So starting from the team which is currently at the bottom right now, Kings 11 Punjab. So my question going to Shantanu. Shantanu, after playing such good cricket, do you think Kings 11 were a bit unlucky this season by losing some really close games?
Hi, Anson. Happy to be here on the podcast. Definitely. I mean, you talk about margins here. You talk about the game against KKR. The ball lands 1 inch ahead and it's a six, and we are playing super over, and then it's anybody's game. You talk about the super over we lost against Delhi. You talk about the Tewatia hitting 30 runs in the over against Cottrell. I mean, games we've just given away. So you talk about those points, crucial points. I mean, you can say it's unlucky, but it's happy. It's happening consistently, right? Unlucky could be one game or two game like that, but to for it to happen now and again, it shows that there is lacking support. We have brilliant batsmen. They are not clicking. They are not consistent. Other than the top order, the opening batsman with the Mayank Agarwal and KL Rahul.
So talking about their batsmen, with Chris Gale coming in, do you see any change in the fortunes of Kings 11? Do you think they still have a chance of making it to the playoffs?
Definitely. I mean, as a fan, we have to be optimistic, right? I mean, right now they're playing. It's as per the score right now, it's all in the hands of KL Rahul. But talking about Chris Gale, him coming in is a big boost, obviously. The universe boss, as they call him, and his innings against RCB was very crucial. But to talk about Kings 11, I think there's an issue with the mentality. I mean, there are times where we are under pressure and we cannot cope against. Again, even in the last game, the game should not go to the last ball where Puran had to hit a six, but it did eventually. I mean, that is what we're talking about here. The issue is that the mentality of the players is not good enough, I feel, and it shows. You can't blame it all on luck. If it's unlucky, then you would have 1 or 2 games like that. But having 3-4 games wherein we're giving away games, it's a question of mentality more than a luck, I would say. Talking about chances for qualifying, I mean, we're at the bottom of the league, but a win today puts us right back into the conversation. It ties us up with the teams above us. I think right up till KKR, and KKR is 2 points ahead. We'll be 8 points with SRH, CSK, and Rajasthan Royals. So we're right back in the mix. So I mean, today's win is really crucial. I mean, I hope they make it through. I hope KL Rahul gets us over the line. But yeah, as a fan, I'm optimistic that we get through. But it's IPL, so we never know.
Yeah, so hoping for a win in almost every game you all play now, and hopefully you all can make it to the playoffs. Yeah.
Kings 11 making through.
Okay, so talking about the Rajasthan Royals, after somewhat swapping their batting order and choosing Stokes as their opener, do you all think that Rajasthan Royals still have a chance of making it to the fourth position?
Yeah, I think Rajasthan, they still have a chance in the sense that now, as you saw in the last match, they can give themselves a chance if they make certain changes in their team, I feel. So, for example, in the last match, they brought up Robin Uthappa to open. That was a very good change, in my opinion, because Robin Uthappa, as we have seen this year and in the past 2 years for KKR as well, he has been struggling in the middle overs. And he has not just been getting out, but he has been eating up a lot of balls, which becomes a liability on the team. So, as you saw, when he was pushed back on the opening position, he played comfortably in his favorite position and he scored freely and he scored quite good also. And he was looking to score even bigger, but then Chahal got his wicket. However, their decision of making Stokes open with him and not Butler, that is not a great one in my opinion. Firstly, because Stokes for England and even for Rising Pune Super Giants in the year 2017, in which he was the MVP, if I remember correctly, he has been great in the middle over. And Butler for Rajasthan Royals, he has been phenomenal at the opening position. You can say he is one of the best openers of IPL, and on his day, he can win the match on his own, beat any target. He is that kind of a player. And like most of the overseas players, he's a better batsman of pace bowling rather than spin bowling. When he opens, he tends to face more of pace bowling than spin bowling as compared to when he comes in the middle over where he tends to face more of spin bowling. So to utilize both the players equally well, I think it would be better if Butler opens along with Robin Uthappa. Stokes is fit back in the middle order, maybe number 5. Now
Yeah, so
another
that
thing,
sorts out their batting order in a better way. So, talking
yes,
about Rajasthan Royals star boy this season, Rahul Tewatia, what would you have to say about him?
he has been great, and I don't think many of us expected him to play in the way he played. You can say he almost won 2 games for Rajasthan Royals out of nowhere, and he has been great, I would say, this year. And not only with batting, even with bowling, he has bowled quite well in a few matches. So he has given an all-round performance to Rajasthan Royals. However, looking at his performance, I've seen many people jumping the gun and saying, "Oh, bring him to the Indian team." I would just say to them, just wait for him to be a little more consistent. Wait for a few more years. Maybe if he performs consistently this year and maybe next year also, because I think next year IPL will be coming soon. That is in April or May. So maybe if he shows that consistency, then maybe we can bring him to the Indian team. But right now it is too premature to get him in the Indian team. That is what I would say. Because we have seen many players who have done well in IPL for one season and they have just vanished after that, unfortunately. I hope that's not the case with Tewatia, and I hope he continues to perform well and one day represents India also. But I would just want to say is right now it is too early to say anything, so we should not jump the gun and directly drag him into the India. But I would wish him all the best.
So, do you think Rajasthan can get the fourth position?
They could see they have certain limitations, I would say, and right now. So, for example, this is another controversial take which I would give. is I don't believe Steve Smith, who is their captain, merits a spot in their playing 11. Now, this will be a controversial decision because just last match he played a brilliant knock against the Royal Challengers Bangalore. But and even in the first two games he played quite well. But if you see the requirements of Rajasthan Royals, I think an overseas bowler would be a better requirement for the team at the moment. And if you ask me amongst Butler, Stokes, and Smith, who are better T20 players, then I would say Stokes and Butler. And Smith, even though he played good at number 4 last match, I don't think it is an ideal position for him in T20. Like yesterday, he may play few good knocks, but more often than not, he will fail. So in his place, a overseas bowler would be much better. But obviously, this was a thing they could have started from the beginning of the season, making Butler the captain, because I think after next year they will have the option of only keeping two overseas, and I think they should be Butler and Jofra. In that case, I think their obvious captaincy option should be Butler, unless they want to buy someone else at the auction. So thinking about the future, they could start it right now. But obviously now, since he played a brilliant innings last match, I don't see that happening. So I think he will continue to be the captain this season and not be dropped.
Yeah, so speaking about Rajasthan, I think for their match against RCB, Rajasthan had got their batting order right. They bowled quite well too. A win was actually inevitable, but then ABD happened. There's also the question of that, sending Unadkat to bowl the 19th over. I think it was a tactical flaw. Quite often you see the main bowler bowling the 19th over, just to close the game, make the last over where the opposition has to score that 20-25 instead of it being that 25 in the 19th over, which is exactly what happened with Unadkat. We saw some spectacular bowling by Tyagi. He bowled beyond his years of experience, and I think that he just showed some class here. His execution of that Yorker under pressure was brilliant. He looked as composed as anyone, and maybe he should move to be a death bowler for Rajasthan.
They still have a chance to qualify for playoffs. I think everyone has, except for maybe Kings 11 Punjab. They slightly have a lesser chance, but everyone else are still into the game. And if they do things rightly, and if they get their combinations right, then I think.
Yeah, so the fight is still on for that fourth position. Okay, so my next question going out to Weldon on the Royal Challengers Bangalore. Weldon, after a successful start to this season and some really dominating wins, do you think the Royal Challengers Bangalore will hold on to their good performances and make sure they qualify for the playoffs?
Yeah, hi there, Hanson. Yes, Royal Challenge Bangalore has had an amazing start. In fact, one of their best starts since 2013. We, as an RCB fan, we will definitely want them to continue in this form. But IPL is very unpredictable. In fact, the game of cricket is very unpredictable. But another two wins out of their next five should, I think, guarantee them a spot in the playoffs at least. And going in their current form and the formation and the balance of the team, RCB should make it to the playoffs.
So now, most likely, we feel that the Mumbai Indians and the Delhi Capitals will be the top two teams to make it to the playoffs, and with RCB going in as the third team. So now my question is open to all of you all on the panel. Whom do you all think would be the fourth team that could push in and make it to the playoffs?
If you ask me, I think it'll most probably be KKR, but it's too early to say actually. Another two games or so will decide. Like the game tomorrow, CSK versus RR, will most probably decide whether CSK will be out of the tournament or RR will be out of the tournament. Most probably, the team who loses tomorrow is definitely not making it to the playoffs. So as of now, KKR has the lead, and most probably it will be them who will make it to the playoffs in the fourth position.
Well, if you ask me, you can. The brain says KKR because they are a brilliant team and they have been doing so great. But heart says CSK because you can never rule them out. They have a 100% record of making it to the playoffs, and of course, since the second half of the tournament, the pitches will slow down and suit the spinners more. And as we know, CSK are a team that is built around. So that they play well at Chepauk, which is a spinning friendly pitch or spinning friendly ground. So maybe the situations and the pitches in the second half may support their style of play. and maybe they pull off another miracle like they have done before. So it is one of KKR or CSK, I feel.
I agree with Raj actually on this. In better words, you can just say that it's KKR's fourth place to lose. So they have already a 4 point gap, that is a 2 game advantage over Rajasthan and your Chennai and the teams below. So it's their turn. If they mess up, if they lose their games, it is Chennai's. It's up for grabs for Chennai and Rajasthan.
Yeah, even I feel KKR has a chance because Morgan and Karthik, both of them have shown their return to form this match, the last match, and Lockie Ferguson, if he gets selected in the next match and if he performs the way he's bowled today, so I don't think there's nothing stopping KKR to qualify in the playoffs.
I don't think after today any of us will agree to drop Lockie Ferguson. I think we all can agree on to that. But
Yeah.
even though you can say Sunil Narayan's a great player, but there are other, you can't drop Morgan, but you can drop Russell also, even though he's not firing, but you can drop Pat Cummins. That's something that is debatable, but let's see.
So the next team up, we have the Chennai Super Kings. And my question going out to Vaden. Vaden, after a rather slow start than usual, and now having to win almost all their games left, do you see the Chennai Super Kings continuing their record and qualifying for the playoffs for yet another season?
The stats say that we have to win 5-5, but we also have results that need to come our way where other teams are playing. So everything is not in our hands. But what the team can do on its own is focus on the small battles between the individual key players between their team and the other team. So they can work on that. And now with Bravo's injury, I don't think he'll probably play the next 2 games. So there probably is a space for Tahir to come in, and with the pitches slowing down, that could play to our advantage in a sense. But there's still a lot of work to be done. We can see that the team has not played as a unit at all in this tournament, and there is scope for improvement. But whether that improvement will take us to the playoffs or not is a question that will be answered only in a couple of games. I think in the next four rounds or something like that, we'd come to know. But it's still uncertain. And as far as getting to the playoffs is concerned, I think Chennai is a team that focuses more on the process. So if they make sure that they can right a couple of wrongs, they'll at least be ready for next IPL. But as far as qualifying for the playoffs are concerned, the chances are very slim.
Yeah, and Vaden, what do you think? The last over which Dhoni gave to Jadeja when there were two left-handers.
He was left with hardly any choice. He had Karan Sharma or Jadeja, and I think Karan Sharma would theoretically be the correct choice because he's not a left-hander and he's a leggy. But what happens is Jadeja actually has experience of bowling in the last over. So I think he went with Jadeja because Karan Sharma did not have the experience, and also because Bravo was injured, so he had only the choice of these two. It seemed like a good decision, but it backfired, and you can't account for everything. So yeah, that was a scenario, and there was little that could be done. It was unfortunate, but this is what happens in sports. So yeah.
So the scene in the points table is like Sunrisers, Kings 11, Super Kings, and the Rajasthan Royals are at the bottom with 6 points each, and the top three, are looking way ahead of them. And it's going to be a fight for the fourth spot. So very much looking forward for an action-packed second half. So now it's time to wrap up episode 2. It's been a pleasure having you all on this episode, and do follow us on our Instagram handle Let's Talk Cricket Podcast, and keep supporting and enjoy. Till then, see you soon. Thank you and goodbye.